You have been one of the top travel bloggers in India.
फिल्म इश्क विश्क से बॉलीवुड डेब्यू करने वाली एक्ट्रेस शहनाज ट्रेजरी वाला अभिनेत्री के साथ साथ मॉडल और ट्रैवल राइटर भी हैं।
Content creator and now author, Shenaz Treasury.
Shenaz Treasury needs no introduction.
When I started with shooting myself and editing myself. I used to shoot by myself and I still do shoot a lot on my own because when you travel abroad, you can't take an extra person. It's extremely expensive.
If someone is starting out on their own, what advice would you give them to just get kick started?
You have to know how to edit, you have to know how to write. It's a lot of work. It's not easy to now suddenly start, right? Like, because you have to build that following and everything.
Anything that's glamorous on the outside is a lot of hard work on the inside.
The business that I'm in right now, I have to get those views. I have 1.3 million followers on Instagram. It's good for me to get an average of views on every reel. Followers don't matter.
The engagement
matters.
So you're chasing the algorithm.
I also do YouTube. I also do Snapchat. In fact, Snapchat, I earn a lot of revenue through Snapchat. My Snapchat show covers my rent and more. It's a job. It's a business, right?
It's a business.
If I get more views, I get more brands.
Can you actually walk us through a typical brand deal? How does it work out? So those who want to travel the world for free and get paid for it, and no matter what part of India, no matter what part of the world you're from, this is the episode to watch because we have Shenaz with us, who is world famous. Shenaz.
World famous, I like that.
Great to have you here.
Thank you, lovely to be here.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth a few times, but finally I've managed to pin you down.
Thanks.
And
yeah,
really nice
it's a pleasure.
To have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to let you go without really picking your brains.
Sure.
And there's so much to talk about.
I got to correct you on the first line though. Traveling the world for free, not true.
Getting paid for it, right?
Getting paid for it also not true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have traveled the world for free a lot of times. Well, nothing is free in the sense there's a lot of work. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
But, being a travel content creator does have its perks. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of that as well. And so have you. And but it comes with a lot of hard work. Anything that's glamorous on the outside is a lot of hard work on the inside.
Absolutely.
Right?
Everything, to be successful at anything, you got to work hard.
Let's just start off with your journey. You have been one of the top travel bloggers in India, but your journey started way back in the 90s.
Yes.
I think you were in school or something.
I was actually in first year college. So I was in the 11th standard, right, in Xavier's.
Yeah.
And it actually just started with me being in college and some model coordinators at those times. We used to go to college and someone was just like, you.
Yeah.
Come with me to Wankhede Stadium, right there and then.
Right.
And there were thousands of people standing in line and I just went with my friends just for fun, not even knowing what the hell this was about.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
I got selected. It was an ad for a drink called Gold Spot that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it was with Rahul Khanna. And that was my first ad. And from there, other people saw it and then other people called me. And suddenly I was like on TV doing so many ads. I did an ad with Sachin Tendulkar all of a sudden. I was like doing a lot of ads. And that's when MTV called me for an audition. And suddenly I was on MTV. So it was great. Through my college, I basically barely went to college. I was actually working. And
so from Rahul Khanna to Rahul Jagtiani, you've come a long way. There you go, right? Yeah. Moving up in the world.
Moving up.
No, but your career started as a VJ, and then you moved into acting. You did Ishq Vishk as well, which I watched, by the way. And I think I met you soon after that at Olive. And then you went overseas for a few years. You were acting in some of the films overseas, and we met in New York as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then cut to, perhaps in the early 2010s when you came back and you moved back.
No, actually not true. I went to the US in 2011. I got a soap opera there. I was on that soap opera for 2.5 years, a really famous one. And then from there, I did some movies over there. I did some shows on Comedy Central. I did a lot of work in the US.
Right.
But that was 7 years. But around 2017, 2018, I started feeling like I want to come back.
Yeah.
My parents are old. I was kind of feeling lonely. It was a
Right.
very up and down life because it's cold and the sun
Yeah.
never shines in the
Yeah.
winter.
New York
It's
City.
winter most of the
Yeah.
time. So New York City is great to visit, but like you don't know what it's like living there. It's a hard
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
And after
Very
a while,
gritty.
gritty, trains, expensive. Over there, even when you get paid, you barely get the, even if you're getting $20,000, when you actually get your check, it's $2,000 because of
Right.
all the taxes. Cut the California tax, cut the New
And
York
your
tax.
rent
if
and
you
all of that
shoot in
and-
California, it's just crazy.
Correct.
The rent, everything. So and I was lonely and I was missing home and family, and I was
Missing
thinking,
family.
what will I do in India?
Yeah.
And then somebody told me about this app. The app is called Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Actually, an ex told me, he's like, just the parting line, he was like, there's an app called Instagram. I think you will
Yeah.
like it. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. We never spoke again after that. And I was like crying and sad. And I was like, what is this app he's talking about? And I downloaded Instagram. And I downloaded Instagram. And then I was like, oh, this is cool. So in the beginning, it was just photos. So I started taking photos of things, not of myself.
Right.
And I started like, and I always loved traveling. I've been traveling since way before like
Right.
Instagram or YouTube or anything. And I started doing that. And strangely, I started picking up a following. And then one day I turned it around and made a video. I think I was in Jamaica or something. And I made a video. And that video started getting a lot of views. Then I did YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube got millions of views. So then I was like, wow, this is great. But I was still living in New York and I was still acting there until one day Ola called me. Ola,
Yeah.
the cab company. And they were like, we want you to travel around 7 states in the back of an Ola.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I'm in New York. And they were like, yeah, and we'll pay you for it. I was like, what? I can get paid? And that's when, anyway, I was like kind of feeling like I want to go back home.
Right.
I think I had 20,000 followers then.
So my question to you here is,
Yeah.
did the fact that you already were a known face and you perhaps already had a bit of an audience,
Yeah.
Did that help you get kick-started in this? Because, as a known person, when
Yeah.
you're starting a new Instagram page
Yeah,
or
yeah.
a YouTube channel, people know,
So
they know who you are.
I was a known person, but then I was in America for 7 years, right? And people, I think, had forgotten about me. So,
Yeah.
but when I did start Instagram,
I think everyone, you underestimate yourself. People remember you as the Ish Fish girl,
yeah,
the
maybe.
VJ,
I had 20,000 followers,
Okay.
right? And it was like, that was it.
which is a lot back then.
Yeah, I got that much, I guess.
When it really mattered,
Yeah,
like how many followers you have. You know?
that was the start of it. And then I was like, doing interesting things, and then I started
Right.
picking up more followers. And that's when I decided to move back to India when the Ola campaign happened, because I was like, wow, I can do Instagram and get paid for it. This is
Right.
amazing.
The interesting thing is my journey also sort of started, it didn't start with Ola. I wasn't as fortunate as you are.
But you had your videos playing in Ola.
I had my videos
Yeah.
playing in Ola as part of Ola Prime,
Yeah.
Ola Play, I think it was
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
And, that my videos were also playing on airlines as part of the in-flight entertainment. But Ola really got me the views because, on a flight, someone has to fly and they have to turn that on. But Ola, when you're seeing the screen right in front of you, you have a 45-minute, 1-hour cab ride.
Right.
And people take Olas twice a day. I mean, you're taking it to work, taking it
Yeah.
when you get off the airport.
Absolutely.
So that got me a lot of views, and that
Yeah.
got me a lot of other gigs in the future as well. So
That's great.
that's another common thing that we have is Ola. So thank you, Ola. And please bring that screen back because I want more of my videos and now podcasts to be shared.
Really? I found that screen a little annoying, to be honest.
Look, I liked it.
Because it was like a screen. I want to look out of the window, not at another screen.
You had the option to not watch it, but
I kept putting it off. It kept coming on.
Yeah, it was.
But if I had seen you, I would have kept
yeah,
it on.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. How could you not? But it was literally like Salman Khan's show, and I think Arnab Goswami's show, and then
And it was
my
you.
videos
No
were.
way.
So the real estate on there
Yeah.
for me was really good because
Yeah.
I was next to these famous people.
Yeah.
So that, and because it's travel and it's lighter,
Yeah.
so it got people to just kind of like click and be curious. So that worked out well for me. So yeah, that's how you kick-started with travel as a niche, right? But the hard part, and I've gone through this as well, is travel is so wide, right? There's so much within travel that one can cover. Is it luxury travel? And there are backpackers, and there are people who care about the environment, people who care about food. So there are a lot of these sub niches. How did you go about choosing a niche? And I also want to ask you this because someone who's watching or listening to this is perhaps a little overwhelmed. Like, okay, travel, but what do I start? Like, what's my voice? How do you find your voice in telling your story?
I think you have to have a voice to do this. You have to be authentic, firstly.
Right.
You can't be putting on a face.
Yeah.
You can't be pretending to be something you're not.
Right.
I think the number one thing that people see through is that, like, people want to see authenticity. People want to see something real.
Yeah.
So you got to be real to who you are. If you like to backpack, so I never was like, oh, I'm choosing my niche. I was just doing whatever I like to do.
Right.
And I was just making the stories that I would watch or I would like. In the beginning, I didn't even know what I was doing. I still probably don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was faking it till I make it. I was like, okay, I'm a travel content creator now. And
Right.
suddenly I was a travel content creator.
Right.
So I was just traveling and making videos. And because of my MTV experience, and I think I'm...
You're trained.
Yeah, I'm good on camera. I've been
Yeah.
doing this since I was what are you in the 11th
16?
standard? 16 years
Yeah.
old. I've been in front of the camera since I was 16.
So how many years?
A lot more than you
Yeah.
can count on two
No,
hands.
it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't show. Your experience shows, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I never thought about a niche or anything. I just did whatever I enjoyed.
Right.
So wherever I went, I was like doing something that I would like to do.
Right.
And then people followed
Give me
around
an
for the
example
journey.
of maybe something in your early days that you're like, I think this will be a nice story. This is what I want to do.
No, I'll tell you one of the first videos I made that hit so many views that I was like, wow, was it when I went to Bali. I actually went to Singapore for an audition
Yeah.
for like a movie, a TV show.
Yeah.
And then after that, I didn't get the TV show. And after that, I was sad. I went to Bali on my own. And then while I was in Bali, I started shooting like and I made this YouTube video which got millions and millions of views. And I was like, wow, this is probably what I'm meant to do. I feel in life sometimes, you got to just
I agree.
pay attention to what life is offering you. Sometimes you may try for something and try for something, but
Doesn't
actually
happen.
life is making you go in another direction.
Right.
I think just go with it. Just go with where life is taking you. And I think that's what I've done in life. And it's just taken me on this amazing joyride.
So you know how your ex led you to Instagram and how your breakup led you to Instagram? My breakup led me to a solo backpacking trip in Australia. And I had a BlackBerry phone at the time. And I was on a liveaboard. I was scuba diving and I was at the Great Barrier Reef. And I was sitting with this Dutch girl. And I was like, my company is called Plush Plaza. Why don't I call this Plush Places? And that's literally how Plush Places, my journey started. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just have to be open and receptive to life. And you never know which direction it takes you in.
Absolutely.
And then I just fell in love with the process of creating content. I had no idea what I was doing either. And I still probably don't, except for calling you on this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how my journey started. And one thing led to another, and I didn't get 1 million views, but I got a few hundred views. But yeah, for me, that was still a win.
Yeah.
Now that you are an established content creator, what's your process like? Like, is there like a lot of people tell you should follow a monthly content calendar and have an Excel sheet all mapped out. And I've never been able to follow that, But is that something that you do?
I don't even know what I'm going to post tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I don't have that. A lot of people do have that, but for me, it's very organic, and whatever, like whatever.
It's instinct. It's your creative.
Yeah,
urge,
it's my
right?
whatever I feel like making and whatever's ready. Through the years, I've kind of figured out a process. When I started with shooting myself and editing myself.
Right.
Then I started getting editors on. Now, I used to shoot by myself, and I still do shoot a lot on my own. because when you travel abroad, you can't take an extra person. It's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I do pay for my own trips mostly.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's a headache to take those freebies.
We'll get into that. Yeah, I want
No,
to
but
talk
I'll
about
just
that.
tell you organically, like it's a headache to take it, because if you take a 5-day free trip, you have to make 5 reels and
Yeah.
2 static posts and 1
Yeah.
YouTube, and you're not even
Yeah.
like enjoying it. And
Yeah.
suddenly you're working for somebody, and you
Yeah.
realize like it's just 5 days and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So now, so because I'm able to get paid well by brands, that money goes into, it's like a business.
That's your strategy.
That
Yeah.
rolls into the
Yeah.
thing. I'd rather not take those freebies, because I don't want that. That's not even interesting content. People
Right.
don't want to even watch that.
Also, what happens is when you take those freebies, a lot of times they want you to cover what they want to show, right? It's not always.
That's what I'm saying. It's not
your-
interesting content. Also, a lot of times they'll take. So it depends what it is.
Right.
Now, sometimes I may say, okay, fine, this sounds like fun. I'm going to Peru with 5-6 people, and I know these 5-6 people. Let's
That
do
is
it.
nice.
It's
It's a
far
fun-
away. It's like business class ticket. Let's just go.
Right.
If it's something like Peru or Caribbean, something like that, maybe I'll do it. And depends on who I'm going with. But mostly, I feel that it becomes like
Yeah.
I'm working for you for free. While I'm doing it, I'm thinking, shit, I'm doing
Yeah,
all this for
I
free.
may as well just go on
Yeah,
my
I
own.
should have just gone on my own.
But for a lot of people, the dream is to get paid or at least get free trips, and that was a dream for me when I
It
started.
started.
Getting a lot of that.
It started
off
with the
like
free
that.
trips. When I did the Bali thing, then I
Exactly.
started getting calls for free trips. So when I first started, I didn't know I could get paid. Ola paid me. Then after that, nobody paid me for a while. And then people started calling me for these free things. So when
So
I
then,
started,
when
I started
it's
taking.
new and
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, this is really fun because
Yeah.
I want to travel and my tickets
Absolutely.
are taken care of, my stay is taken care of. It's nice hotels
Yeah.
and good experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
Why
money
not?
saved. So why not? And I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you're doing it out of passion. And so
Absolutely.
like, I may as well take the free trip. But only after a while do you realize that, you know what, ultimately this is also a lot of work and I got to find a way to get paid for it.
Yeah.
And that's when I think, once the
Exactly.
novelty wears off, that's
Yeah.
when you want to
Yeah,
find different
and it's
strategies.
also you have to get the views, right?
Yeah.
So if you're shooting something for if you're just shooting a hotel, nobody cares, nobody wants to watch that.
Right.
So that's not good. So when actually, I have to say that when I first started,
Yeah.
you know those hotel tours that you see
Yeah.
everyone taking all over Instagram?
Yeah.
I think I started that.
Okay.
I have to take ownership. I wish I patented it. I think I started that, where I was like traveling, where I would go into a hotel room and do the room tour. But then everybody started doing it. I started saying travel with Shenaz, and everybody started with travel with Rahul, travel with this, travel with that.
I didn't start that. I was just Plush Places,
You
but I
did.
did start something else, just because I was like, I'm anyway going to all these destinations.
Yeah.
And I was, unlike a lot of travel content creators who create vlogs, mine was a TV show sort of format, where it was about the destination and all of that. So mine was a slightly different format. And I was like, I'm shooting all this content, but I'm just coming back with one show, whereas I could come back with 5 different pieces of content and one master show. So I had started a series called Get a Room, a little tongue-in-cheek, like let's go get a room. And that was covering hotels. So I've got another series of that as well, like just
That's
get
fun.
a room.
Yeah.
But coming back to, you mentioned traveling solo and you mentioned what kind of gear do you carry? I'm very interested in what kind of gear you've carried in the past.
So GoPro, I used to do. So when IGTV was around, I did a lot of GoPro, and it was great, and it is still great to travel on your own and just like shoot with
What about the sound?
is GoPro. So it also has a mic. It also
Okay.
has a mic.
The new GoPros have
Yeah,
a mic.
the new GoPros have a mic. The old ones didn't, but it was fine. The sound
Yeah.
was great, and when you're abroad, there's not that much sound. No one's honking on the streets like India, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And so I think I traveled around India and the world with a GoPro. Now I use the iPhone a lot. Yeah, and a mic that never works. This DJI mic, I must say, half the time it works, half the time it doesn't work.
Yeah. So I actually started with the iPhone. No, I started with the BlackBerry, and then soon after, as a gift to myself, I got an iPhone because I was like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
So I think at the time it was an iPhone 5. Not the greatest, but
But at that time, it was great.
at that time it was all we had, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was just easy, kind of like a point and shoot, just, traveling with one piece of equipment. And I feel like the more you travel with, all different pieces of content, and I've got tons of these little mics and speakers and this and lights
At the end of the day, you use one thing.
and it's just complicated, right? Because, when you're covering travel, a lot of it is spontaneous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you want to be able to capture that and you can't recreate that. So you just want to just whip out your camera and do this. So I started off with a gimbal and an iPhone. Earlier it was just the iPhone without the gimbal. So I would stop breathing, and just take that pan shot.
But now you don't even need a gimbal with the iPhone. The iPhone's pretty steady.
Right, I just have the gimbal now.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
iPhone's steady, but at that time the iPhone wasn't very steady. So I used to just hold my breath and do it, and then I got the gimbal, and then I got the GoPro for water sports and underwater stuff. And even the GoPro then it didn't have that stabilizer. Now the GoPros have that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was very shaky. So that's how I started, and I've always been curious, when other content creators create fabulous content as to what you carry. But do you carry more complex equipment now, or you just travel like just with that?
Just with the phone.
Just with the phone?
Just with the phone.
Yeah, so I feel it's a lot easier with one piece of equipment rather than carrying too many of these, right?
Absolutely. I used to have all these nuts and bolts and this and that. But at the end of the day, then that's just more weight that you're carrying. And now I just love to travel with the iPhone. Oh yeah, I was saying that there are two kinds of creators. Like maybe you visually tell your story, and there's some amazing visual storytellers where they shoot in the DSLR and it's just beautiful. They're showing Lucknow or whatever.
Right.
It's just stunning, and it's music and it's visuals.
Right.
Or there's somebody who, for me, it's more like my experience, a storyteller telling something about, talking about some unique experience or something like that.
Right.
And for that visual, actually people like that it's raw. Like if you've noticed, I don't even wear makeup. I don't
Sure.
even blow dry my hair, and I repeat my clothes, and I'm just me. And I think
Right.
authenticity, like I said, matters. And it's also, I think people want to watch that thing that's just normal.
Sure.
Yeah, people, and there was a time when Instagram was flooded with, when travel blogging started, with women in like these gorgeous dresses and
Right.
swirling around, or these hot girls in G-strings and stuff like that. But I think people there's still all those girls and stuff, but I don't think that's long lasting. I don't think the brands are going to those people.
Right.
I think that's just vanity.
Right.
So they are doing it for themselves.
Right.
And I don't feel like that's really something that's a long-term thing.
Correct.
You know, so either you tell a story visually, or you tell a story by, the way you speak. Like, for example, there's this girl called the Rebel Kid. Have you seen her?
Yeah.
She tells stories so well. She's a great storyteller. Nothing visually is good, but she has it. So you have that storytelling ability, or you have a visual ability.
I've gone on a bunch of these fam trips. Fam trips are familiarization trips, which tourism boards take you on. And often I've noticed, some of these other content creators who are there, it's more about them than the destination. And they're more interested in turning that into a fashion shoot, right? So they'll get some clothes from some designers or whatever, and it's more about them in their fancy dresses.
But that doesn't do well, actually. And that's not really what travel content creation is about. It. That's why there are a certain number of content creators who are great,
Right.
and they're not doing that. The other ones will be the fashion bloggers.
Right. And then I guess some of them also segue into fashion and different
Some
forms
people
of
do a whole
content.
lot of things
Correct,
as well
correct.
together. It all depends. Even if you're a fashion content creator, people want to relate to you. People want to see that you're authentic,
Right.
and that you're telling some kind of story.
Right. So you don't need to spend so much on your gear then. Yeah.
You don't need to spend so much on your gear. It all depends. If you're a visual storyteller, if you're a camera guy, then obviously then you have to, and that's your thing. But if you want to tell a story, then by just your storytelling
Correct.
ability, that's a different thing.
Correct. And I guess for different mediums, different things
Yeah,
work. Like
absolutely.
mine had become a long format show, like a half-an-hour format show, for which I needed a crew.
Yeah.
And tourism boards were willing to pay me,
that's
to
great.
bring a crew along, which is great. And so it had turned into that, and it was great, but also a lot of work, right? And we'll get into that as well, because I think what people say is that we're having a great time, but I know personally that when I was traveling, with the camera crew, that it's 18-hour days because, we're thinking about a time-lapse shot. It's like a proper show. So we're thinking about a time-lapse shot that we want in the morning, a sunrise shot. So the camera guy is getting up at 4:30 in the morning because sunrise is at 5:15. So he's setting up the camera and he's staying awake till 6. At the end of the day, we have to dump the footage, and this is heavy footage. We have to dump the footage onto multiple drives. So essentially, we were like 2-3 of us who were doing the work for 8 or 9 people.
Absolutely. It's
Because
like
we
you're
didn't have
shooting
that big a
a
budget.
TV show
Basically,
on your own. So everything, and that's what content creators are. You're shooting your own little show. And it all depends on you, how many hour days you want to know.
Correct.
Like for a long time, I still mostly, by the time it's sunset, I'm like done. I'm like, okay, now I'm done. Camera off, phone away from me, but then I still have to like transfer it to my editor or whatever.
Correct.
But I'm just like, okay, that's it. I'm done. Now I'm just gonna chill.
Right.
And enjoy the place. I don't want a camera pointing at me. Unless it's something really interesting or like say, I'm going to Berghain in Germany and like I have to shoot. But see, you have to always think of stories. Storytelling is the most important. It's what, so now I'm doing something very different where I'm finding the stories first and then going.
Right.
I'm trying to do like unique, interesting. I have a show now, which is around India, and it's called This Is My India. You must have seen it on Instagram. I end everything with This Is My India. So basically, it's about unique, crazy things that you see in India.
But I feel like often for me, because I was doing a slightly different format, for me to truly enjoy a place, I need to visit it twice, because the first time you're just thinking of how to create content, right? You're looking at it from a different lens. You're like, the light is good, I want this shot, this is what I want to say now to the camera, I want to create this moment, and so I had like a couple of camera guys with me, so multiple shots, to make it look like a 3-camera operation. So aage se chalo, piche se chalo, side se chalo, so we stitched that all together. So I felt like I'm obviously having a great time, but I'm not completely free because I'm also stressed. I'm looking at through a camera lens rather than just truly being in the moment. And a lot of people would argue that kind of defeats the whole purpose of travel in a lot of ways, right? You also want to be in the moment. And sometimes you're not able to do that because and that's true for the Instagram generation because you're seeing everything through the lens.
Oh my God, it's crazy. I'm so glad that I had this time before Instagram. And I have traveled the world before without Instagram. And it was great. No pictures, no videos, just really enjoy the experience. Having said that, it's also like, I think I've always been a person who looks at everything. Like I like if I'm going out, I'll be like, oh, look at the way the tree moves and look at the way the moon is. And I'm always looking at things. So so with the camera now, I'm even hyper focused at that. So that's also a nice thing because now I'm like looking at things more than, before. Although, I mean, of course, if I could try, if I could travel without a camera, it would be great, but I'm not that rich yet.
No, and going back to your earlier point, right? Like you've reached a stage where you're like, what, I've been there, done that. And I don't want those free trips because nothing in the world is free. You actually have to create those reels.
It's not, you're creating and it's not that exactly. Nothing is free and it's not even. So the thing is, the business that I'm in right now, I have to get those views. I have 1.3 million followers on Instagram, right? Now I have to every day. It's good for me to get an average of 500K views on every reel.
Right.
And most reels, a lot of reels hit 1 million or go beyond 1 million, and that's what I need. Now, if it's below 500K views, that's not so good. And I realize that those are the months I get less brands. Those are the months that I literally, my phone doesn't ring. If it goes below 500K, it goes. So there are so many apps, and people can tell when you bought it. It's so obvious because there are now apps which you can tell the engagement. So really, views don't matter. Number of followers don't matter.
The engagement
matters. So it's how many people are engaged with the content, how many people like, share, the content, and save the content. So that's really important. So when I'm making something, I'm always having to think of that and taking
so you're chasing the algorithm.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, it is.
Right?
It's a job. It's a business, right?
It's a business.
If I get more views, I get more brands. If I get more brands, I get paid. So if I take those free trips and shoot what they want me to shoot, I'll get less views. I'll get less brands. So it's hurting me.
How does it feel? Is it stressful because your entire business model is built around Instagram, and Instagram can change the algorithm, and suddenly you're like, I'm getting half the views. It's probably a better video than my last one, but I'm getting half the views, and that must be frustrating because a lot of your brand deals are based out of
Exactly.
number of views you get.
But, so I'll tell you, Instagram changed a lot through the years. I think a good video will still always be a good video, but I used to ace it on IGTV. You remember
Yeah.
IGTV? It was square format and it was longer form, like 2-3 minutes. And I think I used to do, and then Reels suddenly came, and suddenly like Reels was like 20-30 seconds. When Reels started, it was very annoying. It was about music and like pretty visuals.
Yeah.
And I used to shoot everything myself.
Yeah.
Now suddenly with Reels, I couldn't shoot everything myself in the beginning. And then suddenly it was like vertical camera. So I did have a lot of challenges changing from IGTV to Reels. And I was kind of stubborn and I was upset about it. Then I realized, you know what, I just got to do it. If I don't do it, I'm going to be left behind. And I did it. And that's what I've realized along the way, that you just have to change, you have to adapt, you have to change, you have to adapt. And I guess it's the fun of it. But I also do YouTube. I also do Snapchat. In fact, Snapchat, I earn a lot of revenue through Snapchat.
Really?
Yeah. I have a girl, she takes my content, she puts it on Snapchat, she makes it really great and like basically puts videos together. And suddenly I have I don't have like a profile on Snapchat, I have a show on Snapchat. That makes a lot of money. My Snapchat show covers my rent and more.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
The Reels phenomenon started, I think, sometime during COVID.
Yeah. No, after, I think.
Or just after COVID.
Yeah.
Sometime in that whole phase where
I
we
think
were
Reels started
stepping out.
after 2021, 22. Maybe it started
more or
in
less in the
22.
middle of
We
it.
can
right?
Google it right now.
We were in the thick of it. And everyone moved to short form content. And that was hard for me because I was creating a half an hour show and suddenly there was no market for that anymore.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating for me, and a lot of new people got into the space because now it's easy to create a 30-second reel versus create a 30-minute long
No,
format show.
actually, it's much harder.
Is it?
I feel it's very hard to create like these 1-minute things that catch people's attention, and as people are scrolling, to catch their attention and stay, and for them to stay there.
That's hard, but the labor involved is a lot less as compared to creating a half
Of
an hour
course,
long
when
show.
you're sure. But you know what? If you're traveling to a place and you're doing a YouTube video, I find it personally more easy because you're on a horizontal format. You show the restaurants, the hotels, the places to go, the things to do, and it's like easy. Whereas on a short-term thing, people are scrolling really fast. I find that very hard. I find that much harder.
So the culture changed where everybody wanted everything, and then it's the
Everything
first 3 seconds need to
snappy.
matter, and
Yeah,
that one tagline and
absolutely.
that
Your
hook.
hook, shareability is really important,
Correct.
and people saving your video is really
Yeah,
important.
and a lot of clickbait as well, right?
Clickbait, but clickbait doesn't get saved and shared. So in the beginning, maybe somebody explained to me how the algorithm works. First 20,000, they send it to everybody. Like
Right.
your video they send to 20,000 people. Now it depends on how many people actually share it, save it to do better.
So that hook is very
So
important
the
as
hook
well.
is important, but if your content is rubbish, if your hook is just like you flashing someone,
Yeah.
and then there's nothing after that,
Yeah.
I guess for the flashing they'll still watch it.
In India, yes. That'll get shared the most.
They'll share that. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, something else. Like if the hook is really interesting, but then it's not shareable or savable,
Yeah.
it still won't do well. So you
Right.
have to have something that people are like, whoa, and share it with their friends.
Correct. I want to ask you what your post-production process is like, because for a lot of new content creators, that can be a little intimidating as well.
It is.
If they're not familiar with editing processes. Now I know you have a lot of these AI apps that are coming through.
I don't know. Are people really editing on AI apps?
People are editing on AI templates, yes, especially the reels. you know.
Templates. But then how if you're telling a story, I don't think you can tell it through an AI app. I'm not sure.
Not a story, but I mean, Instagram also has probably some of their own little,
So I've edited on Insta Reels app like a million times. See, I think people need to know how to edit. You can edit on your phone, you can edit on your laptop. You have to know how to edit to be a content creator
If
because
they're
you have to
editing
know.
on their laptop, what software would you recommend that they should learn?
Adobe, Premiere, yeah.
FCP?
FCP is actually passe now.
Is it?
Although I edit on FCP, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but most people edit on Premiere Pro.
What about something as basic as if you've got a Mac, then iMovie? I've done a lot of work on iMovie.
Yeah,
as
whatever.
well.
You can edit on anything that suits you actually.
Right.
Even FCP is, it's basically about what it is in the end. Editing on the Reels app also is fine.
Right.
It's just about how you're telling that story, you know?
Right.
It's what the story is. So from scripting to editing to the final product, you know, so that's the most important. And someone like me, I'm very spontaneous and very like on the fly I come up with it, you know.
Right.
But I feel like not when I'm doing the travel videos, but I also have now where I tell stories about a particular thing, like, you know, so I'll find a village where everybody was an alcoholic and now they have all discovered chess, so they're all playing chess.
Human
so
stories.
I try to find these kind of stories and I go to that
Yeah.
place and I shoot it and I edit it and I interview people. So
That's
really
your jam.
that's what I like doing
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I don't want to show another waterfall or run down another mountain.
Correct.
I'd rather do that on my own time.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's more about people and their human stories which people can connect
Yeah,
with,
interesting
right? More
stories.
interesting,
Yeah,
correct.
and also sustainability. And what I've realized, I mean, what I feel is now I've built this platform and people really, I'm so blessed that people actually watch my content and like it and appreciate it. And I feel I need to do something bigger than just show a waterfall or this. I need to do something that I believe in, and which is
Yeah.
why I really care about the planet. And that is why, like, I feel like a lot of my videos and my stories and all that are dedicated to sustainability, how to save the planet, how you know, civic sense in India. All of that is
Maybe
also.
another career as an activist as well coming.
No, I don't know.
coming through?
Activist sounds very like hardcore, but yeah, I have a platform, so a lot of activists contact me.
Yeah.
So, for example, for the mangroves.
You have a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a mouthpiece for activists. Let's just say that.
Right.
So there's like the mangroves are being cut. 60,000 mangroves are being cut to make that Versova link road. So then, you know, an activist made this email form thing, and they were like, "Can you post it?" And I'll post it for them. So I feel like I should do. This is how I give back for
Yeah.
what I'm getting,
Yeah.
because I'm so blessed to get so much. I feel like if I have the voice, what am I going to use? I don't want to use it to like show another bag. Like, if obviously,
Correct.
like, I have to sell the bag, I'll sell it because
Yeah.
that's how I earn money. But I also want to do things that I believe in.
You also have that responsibility, and you have that awareness, and you've traveled the world where you've seen better,
Yeah,
And
I
you
just
know
want to.
better.
Yeah,
and it resonates
I want to
with
do
you.
my bit to making the world a better place.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you mentioned your pollution and trees, and I think pollution is another thing you mentioned.
Yeah, pollution drives me crazy.
I think it's driving all of us
Because
crazy.
one thing that not many people know, which I don't really portray, but you know because you're my friend, is like I'm really into health and fitness.
Yeah.
Like I work out every single day. Maybe I don't look like it, but I do. And I eat healthy. I don't eat sugar at all. For years, I haven't eaten sugar. Like once here and there, like
Yeah.
I will, but I'm very, very careful, as you
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
about my health, about fitness. And this is really important to me. And then suddenly living in a city where you're like, I've never smoked in my life. You know, I find people who smoke kind of gross. I hope you don't smoke.
I don't smoke.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I find it disgusting. Right? Like, I'm like, oh, stay away from me. And then now I'm living in the city where there's like, it's like you're smoking whatever, 7 cigarettes a day. And I'm like, this is not cool. I've been healthy my whole life.
Correct.
You know, I don't even go out and party and drink myself to death.
Correct,
I don't
correct,
even
correct.
drink. I just
Yeah.
drink a glass of wine here and there. Very rarely.
Yeah. So
Unless
you're
I'm
you're
yeah.
passionate about these topics. And,
Yeah, health is
and
really
that comes
important.
across
Yeah.
in your content as
Yeah.
well. You know,
So
so
then,
that's
yeah.
perhaps
I
another
think you
tip.
need to have a passion. You need to have
Yeah.
a voice. You need to have something. And a lot of people have this passion.
Yeah.
So a lot of people feel like you know, so people message me, can you say this? Can you say that? And a lot of people who follow me actually send me things like, oh my God, can you believe this is happening? That is happening. Sometimes I get to know about things from people who are following me, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, let me put that up. You know?
One of my topics for the Plush podcast has been how to stay fit while traveling. So I'm also equally passionate about travel
and fitness. I've seen that. Yeah.
So and perhaps this is a good tip for people who are starting out as well, that you can also perhaps showcase waterfalls and beaches and all of that, the typical quintessential travel stuff. But you can also find your own voice by choosing niches that you're passionate about, whether it's fitness, whether it's sustainability, and maybe segue that with travel. And talk about sustainability while traveling or fitness while
whatever
traveling.
you're passionate about. Don't be somebody you're not. Don't be like, oh, sustainably acha chalta hai to ye kar lo.
Correct.
Because people will see through that.
Correct. It has to be authentic.
It has to be authentic. Whatever you believe
But
in.
it takes a while to even find your authentic voice, because people don't even know what they're passionate about. So it's also a journey that you start, and don't let that kind of stop you. And just start, keep doing, and things will keep getting better, and you'll find your voice as you go along.
Right.
And that's what's worked for me.
Yeah.
Every video started getting a bit better. My
Yeah,
messaging
of
got a
course,
little better.
of course.
And I realized what I like and what I don't like and what I want to showcase. And it's been the same with you as well.
Yeah.
But all of this requires a team, and this sounds, it is a lot of work. And how do you go about building a team, whether it's a team of editors, whether it's a team of camera people, or just social media people?
So I don't have a team of camera people, but I do now have editors. But over the years, they've changed, and people have changed, and everybody comes in for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and goes away. Some people have. One girl stayed with me for 5 years, and she was my only person for a long time.
Yeah.
So one editor was with me in the beginning for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then now I have a few.
Yeah.
And that's how I manage it. But I don't have a huge team or anything. I have editors, and that's mainly what I have. In the middle, I had script writers, but I realized, hey, I'm writing myself. So I do have research people or someone to help me with that research or help me. That I do have.
So those also count as part of your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're also on a payroll, right?
So it's not a payroll. I do I freelance with everyone. Basically everyone's moonlighting for me.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, it's on a per video basis.
Per video basis,
yeah, but
exactly.
It's still a cost, right? So, but for someone who's starting out, would you recommend? At first, they have to be the jack of all trades.
Of course, they have to be the jack of all. That's how I started. Yeah. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to write. You have to. It's a lot of work, and it's also a lot. It's not easy to now suddenly start, right? Because you have to build that following and everything.
Time.
And a lot of time it takes to build. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who want to get into content creation full time and travel content creation because it's also glamorous. Let's talk about the flip side.
Yeah.
There are some perks to what you and I have done. And the perks are traveling to exotic destinations and either traveling for free. At some point, you've traveled for free as well. You may choose not to travel for free, but a lot of times you do get these offers.
Sometimes you get some offers.
My strategy was I was also writing articles for a lot of magazines, so that gets you a lot of views as well. And my show was on Ola and on airlines and Z5 and Sony Live. So I got a lot of these tourism boards, hotels, wanting to work with me because that was my strategy. Your strategy, because you were already famous, was working with brands directly, and because you were a known face, Ola came to you.
No. I told you, I started getting a lot of views and engagement, and that's when Ola came to me.
Correct. So initially you're saying that one has to just start and perhaps even fund their travels on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of self-funding. Yeah.
And you have to do a few trips which can get expensive.
Yeah.
And then you once you're doing this seriously, that's when either a brand or maybe a tourism board, if you pitch to them, that's when they start getting interested in your work if you're on their radar. But the important thing is to get on their radar. How does one go about if someone is starting out? Let's say if I was starting out today and I'm not famous and I'm not a known person, how can one get kickstarted?
But I did not get it because I was famous. That's not true. Like, I don't think.
You got it because you were doing a lot of
Yeah,
this.
you have
right?
to just keep doing. It's consistency.
Right.
It's getting engagement. So if you
Yeah.
get a lot of engagement,
Correct.
then if you get engagement, then so
Like a lot of movie stars today, they may not be great content creators at all because it's more about them. But they'll go to a fancy destination because a destination or a fancy
But-
hotel will invite them
correct.
to just come and spend the weekend for
yeah,
free.
yeah.
Now they're purely getting it not on the basis of their content, they're purely getting it on the basis of their fame.
Correct.
Right? So I don't know how much it helps the property or the tourism board, but whatever, that's their business model. But most people are not movie stars here, right? In the
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
that if someone is starting out on their own,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them to just get kick-started?
It's just consistency, like actually making videos and doing
Which means
this.
they have to make the trips as
you
well.
have to make the trips. Maybe it's like your family trips or somewhere close to where you live or something, but you will have to, do that on your own in the beginning to actually. You have to be consistent. You have to make
Yeah.
content to get noticed. That's it. And the content has to be engaging. So you have to tell stories that are engaging.
So there's no silver bullet. It's basically you
There's
have
no
to,
magic pill.
there's no magic pill.
There's no Ozempic here.
So you have to make the trips, whether it's international trips or whether it's even within India.
You can even make a small trip, like to Lonavala or something if you live in Mumbai.
Correct.
But
Which
you
a lot
have
of
to
people
keep-
do, right?
Yeah,
Not
you
everyone can afford to travel overseas. And
You can just do that, but you have to be consistent and you have to have something different to say because everybody is making trips, everybody is traveling with their boyfriends, husbands, girlfriends. So when they do that, everyone's making videos. And nowadays, like even if a person is not a content creator, if they make a great story, that reel will go viral.
right.
Right? So now, random people, even if they work in a bank, sometimes has one viral reel. So many people I meet say, oh, one of my reels when I went to like Singapore got viral.
Right.
Whatever,
Right.
anywhere.
Sure.
So that happens to anybody.
So it does come with some privilege in the sense that you have to be able to afford the first few trips.
Yeah. But
to
it depends
nice places.
doesn't have to be nice places. You have to be a good storyteller.
You have to be a good
Yeah,
storyteller. So you can
that's
tell
it.
a good story in a
You
Lonavala
can,
as well.
yeah, exactly. It just has to be about your story and how
Right.
well you tell a story. That's why I was telling you that girl Rebel Kid, she's a good storyteller.
Right, and if you can't do video, perhaps you can start off writing. I don't know if people are still reading blogs, but
I doubt it. People have such short memories, attention spans.
I know, but here's the flip side of it. If someone wants to know about an itinerary,
So now,
they want to go and research an itinerary on Google. They're searching for, let's say, a 7-day Cambodia
but
trip.
now with ChatGPT, they're just doing what's the itinerary and then ChatGPT tells you what it is.
Right.
Or the other thing is, if you want to see it, go to YouTube and watch a couple of videos on that place.
Correct.
That's it.
On YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So Instagram doesn't work really well there because
No,
it goes
Instagram
away.
doesn't work well.
Right.
But then that's when saves come. Like say a lot when I went to Japan, my reels, so many people saved it, right?
Right.
So now when they go back and they're going to Japan, they'll go back and they'll watch those.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that
Or
kind- and
it's
I also
YouTube
save
because
videos.
the content is there.
Yeah.
And or it's maybe reading a blog on
Yeah.
how to do this and how to do that. And although
Yeah.
the world has become a little bit more visual
Yeah.
with the ease of creating content on your
Exactly.
phone. But there are some OG journalists and
Yeah.
content creators who, they're not thrilled about the whole clickbaity stuff that's also happened in this
Yeah.
space. And they're OG, they're writers.
Yeah. I
And
feel
it's
bad
affected
for
their
them.
market as well.
Of
unfortunately. And they're
course.
really good at what they do.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the other business models that one can sort of get into or explore to fund this journey? Because you can't just rely on this. I know you're making your money through your brands.
Yeah.
Can you actually walk us through a typical brand deal? How does it work out?
So I don't have an agency or a manager. I actually always like to do my own deals. It's crazy. Even as an actor in India, I never had an agency or a manager. When I was in the US, of course, I had both because that's a different market and I didn't know people there. But here, I kind of like it when people contact me. I talk to them. I figure it out. I like that personal thing. And so here, you can very well do it yourself. You have your email on your Instagram. Then I have somebody who works with me who replies to those emails. And then if they're interested, she sends them the rates and everything. So they figure out the rates like in that way. And then they come to me and then we discuss, okay, right now I'm working with an airline brand, right? And they have so they'll say, listen, we have these 6 points and we want you to say these 6 points in the video. But then I'm like, look, this is going to get very salesy. You're not going to get those million views that I can get for you if you make me do it in an organic way, right? In the beginning when I started doing this, I used to argue with them, I used to beg them, plead them, try to make them understand. Now I'm like, they're not going to understand. Okay, so I'll just tell them up front that, listen, this video won't get 1 million views. You want me to say your 6 points. They're like, okay, fine, we're aware of that. Fine, so then I have to think of a script where I can say these 6 points and it not sound so salesy, but it's going to.
Right.
Then there may be another brand who comes to me and they're like, Shenaz, we love your content. We want it to come in organically. I love brands like these. These brands are my favorite. So then I'll do it in a way where it's organic. And really, those guys get more views, they sell more, and they do better. But then there are 2 kinds of clients, and then there are a lot of agencies. So I don't even blame the agencies, because agencies usually come to us, right? So the brand is telling them, then there's 1 agency, 2 agencies, there are like many layers of agencies. So by the time it comes to me, it's all diluted.
Sure.
So the agency just doesn't want the hassle. They're like, listen, the brand's saying this, just do this. So then now I'm like, okay, fine, whatever the brand says. So it depends on who the brand is, what they want. So, okay, so then I go, then I script it, right? So then I think about, okay, fine. This guy wants, this brand, this airline brand wants me to say these 6 points. How do I do it in an interesting way where people will watch the video? So I have to think, okay, maybe I'll start with myths and then be like real facts. You know, and maybe this video will be about myths and facts. So this is this piece of puzzle I like putting together. I think it's very interesting. Thinking of what it's going to be, you know,
Right.
and then I have people on my team who I work with who will sometimes I'm like, I don't have time, maybe I'm running. I'm like, hey, do you have any ideas? Pitch me some ideas. So I'll also pitch some ideas. So maybe we pitch like 4 ideas to the brand. And then the brand is like, we like this idea. For example, I also pitched, like I'm telling my dad, you know, something like about these 6 points. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Your dad is almost as famous as you are.
Yeah, I like to
thanks
put him in the
your
video.
Videos. Are views the only metric that brands are looking at?
Engagement.
Engagement.
Yeah.
So they don't want to see the hi sweetie, hi baby comments. They want to see more authentic and rather more meaningful.
Yeah, meaningful comments. They want to see shares. They want to see saves. They want to see clicks. If it's a story, their video click, they click.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, to sell something, stories are the best because you actually can click on the product.
Correct.
But again, like if brands let influencers do what they know best, those brands sell the most. But you know, it's hard to convince.
Correct. Now, from business, let's move on to a bit of personal stuff. Life on the road.
Okay.
Life on the road can get a little lonely. You know, after a point, the whole glamour of being this guy or being this girl who's a digital nomad, always traveling in one fancy destination, from one fancy destination to another, kind of starts weaning off.
Of course, it starts getting
And then
lonely. Yeah,
you want to grow
yeah,
roots.
yeah.
And also, a lot of times, I'm sure you've been through this as well, where you're like, this is so beautiful, I wish I could share this with someone.
Absolutely.
So have you met interesting people on the road?
I've met interesting people, but not like partners or boyfriends or that kind of people. Because actually, and I always say this to my friend, I never meet anyone. But the other thing is that I don't go out at night that much.
Yeah.
I'm such a day person and a nature person. So I wake up early and then I'm out all through the day. And by the time it's like sunset, like I said, I pack up,
When
I'm
the bad
done.
boys come out.
I eat my dinner and I'm in my hotel by like 8:39. That's so it's not like I've met a boyfriend while traveling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've written a book on it.
So I've written a book about a girl and her life from 4 to 40. And each chapter is a different boy. And
Yeah.
each boy leaves her with a different recipe. That's my book. So it's not about travel, but it's about this girl and her different relationships and what she learns from them.
Any of your personal stories from your travels in that book?
Yeah. Not just from my travels, but from my life.
From your life?
It's definitely all in the book.
Okay, so you know, you're an author now as well, and I feel like you reinvent yourself really well. You know?
Yeah,
So
I enjoy doing different things.
Correct.
It gets boring doing one thing.
does this profession of being a travel content creator have an age bias, which means that, you know, how does one sustain themselves or himself or herself in this profession.
I don't think it's age biased where people are like, oh, she's too old, we can't watch her videos. It's about how, again, the storytelling. But I think it's, and a lot of people say, how do you have the energy like to do it? Like, keep traveling, it's exhausting. I agree, it is exhausting. And to travel halfway across the world and then go again. And definitely there are travel content creators in their 20s who I see, and they're like, they're in Colombia one day and then they're in Turkey the next, and I'm like, how the hell are they doing it? Oh yeah, when I was in my 20s, I could have done it.
At that age, you have lesser responsibilities as well, and as you get older, you have more things bringing you closer to home, whether it's your family, whether, aging
I
parents.
think you want to also build roots, aging parents, exactly. Now, I don't like to leave my mom alone for too long.
Correct.
Also, I see when I'm like, I'm going for a week, she's like, I'm like, I'll be back.
The same here. I want to go do my work and come back. I don't want to go to 10 different places whereas like a decade ago, I loved doing that. I loved being on the road. You probably did that a lot more than I did.
But, absolutely. In fact, until like 2-3 years ago, I was doing it much more. But what I realized is I really love telling stories that are in India. And I really feel like that's my niche now, has become much my niche. I travel mostly around India and tell Indian stories, and I'm really enjoying that. So I don't have to travel across the world to tell the story about a different place. And you know what? There are more people more interested in it because it's accessible. Like, people are not going to go to Norway and find this little hotel there. Yeah, it's nice to see.
Nice to see. But someone going to some place in Uttarakhand is more accessible than someone going to Antarctica.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Antarctica is nice, one video. But if you make 7 videos on Antarctica, no one's going to watch it.
Correct.
Yeah. So so that's the thing. So people want to watch where they can go, what is affordable. Right. And what's affordable is close by. So it's not so...
And also a wider base of people can watch that video.
Exactly.
Right?
And afford it and aspire
for that, right? A bigger section of society can
and understand it. They may not even know, like, where is Peru? How will I get to Peru? It's a long flight.
It's a long flight and it's expensive.
But there's Machu Picchu, there's the Rainbow Mountain, which is so stunning and so beautiful.
Correct.
So when they see it, they'll be like, oh my God, I love it. Maybe one day I'll get to go there, and they'll share that video, save that. But if you make 10 videos on that, then they won't.
Which is why there are different kinds of content creators. I know a content creator who does really well, but he's literally showing you the kind of stuff that you get served on a tray on an airplane. Now, my audience will not appreciate that because I'm showing luxury. But his audience, and he's got a vast audience, huge numbers, they love it. Because for someone who's never been on a flight, so they're seeing that what kind of Hindu veg meal they're able to get and what the inside of an aircraft looks like.
Correct.
It's great.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay. Yeah. It all depends on who your audience is. It's very true.
Correct.
So my audience is also upper middle class.
Correct.
I wouldn't say fancy luxury, but middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can travel and they want to travel.
Choose your audience and make content for them.
Not choose what you are, basically.
Choose who you are, what you are.
Yeah, and make content
and your audience will find you.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. Exactly. So Shenaz, you've been, VJ, actress, travel blogger, passionate advocate for sustainability, and also I think someone who's written a book, who's an author as well. What comes next?
I don't know. Like I said, I just go with life, wherever life takes me. So, for example, there are some people who are interested in making my book into a show. So who knows, that book may become a show. You'll see it on Netflix.
Right.
You never know. I never even thought I'd ever be on American TV, on Comedy Central, or on a soap opera, or on a daily show. But like, it's just where life takes you. So let's see. I don't know. I'm just surrendering wherever life takes me. I think I know what I'm good at. What I'm good at is telling stories. I'm a storyteller. Right. So whether it's MTV or even as an actor or even as writing a book, everything is related to telling stories and speaking and kind of articulating. I think that's what I have, and that's the gift from the universe. And that's what I'm using. And
you're letting the mysteries of life unfold.
Yes, exactly.
And you're doing a great job at this.
Thank you.
Usually I end my show by asking my guests where the audience can go to see some of their work. But in this case, I don't have to. You're already famous. Everybody knows who you are. But just for the record, tell us your Instagram account And
Okay.
where else people, if you want people
Yeah.
to find you, perhaps on LinkedIn or some of these
Yeah,
other
they can
platforms?
find. I mean, it's all my name, Shenaz Treasury, ShenazTreasury. On Instagram, it's also Travel Romance and Smiles.
Travel Romance and
Smiles.
Yeah.
Travel Romance Smiles on Instagram. YouTube, my name, Shenaz Treasury. LinkedIn, my name.
There you go.
Snapchat, my name.
There you go.
That's
Well,
it. Just write my name.
this has been fantastic,
Thank
and
you.
thank you so much for finally taking the time out.
Thank you.
and
Sorry it took so long.
No, that's all right. And B,
One thing I want to say, I am commitment phobic.
Okay.
So, if you tell me like, Shenaz, come on my show, I'll be like, yeah, let's go today. Let's go tomorrow. But if I have to plan something 5 days in advance, I'm like, oh shit, what if something comes up? What if I have to go somewhere? That's my challenge.
Get it. But,
I need to change that.
yeah, but-
That's why when I met you, I was like, I need to change that. I'm going to tell him 2 days from now, I'm going to come and I'm going to make it happen.
thank you for breaking your commitment phobia with me as far as the show is concerned.
Sure.
I really enjoyed having you on the
Thank
Plush
you.
Podcast, and thank you for bearing it all in terms of how one can build a brand as a content creator. And I'm confident that this episode will really resonate with millions of people around India and the world
Thank
who are
you.
looking to get started on this journey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul.